This is another episode of the Hub Coffee Break Spotlights, and today it's none other than Kelly Allen Music.
Hi.
So the purpose of these chats is basically to let everyone in the community have the mic for a bit, talk about a little bit of background story. There's a kind of similar theme to the questions, just so we can all get to know each other, basically.
Okay.
Obviously, there's over 220 of us now, shooting for 300. Very difficult to kind of grab time, but the idea of these videos, everyone gets a bit of the mic, we talk about our story and get to know each other. So,
Sounds good.
on that topic, could you please introduce yourself and when did you arrive or move to Ibiza?
My name is Kelly Allen and I moved to Ibiza 7 years ago in April. I actually moved to the island to pursue my career in music and came here with a great opportunity to learn from what the business side of the music industry had to offer. So I worked as an artist management assistant for 4 years and also in radio syndication, which was a new experience for me, but opened up all this brand new knowledge that I never really had an understanding of before. So yeah, that's how it all came about, really. Came out here to pursue music and ended up having a bit of the knowledge to go with it.
Wicked. And since you've been here, another thing we're trying to do is do like career highlights and inspirational moments.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest career highlight, would you say?
Well, I mean, I've got two big focuses here. I mean, music obviously is predominantly my reason for being here, but obviously the Hub was something that was born from, the two of us meeting and discussing ideas, ways to take over the world. So, I mean, obviously the Hub's something I'm massively proud of achieving, but it was the most unexpected thing to come out of this situation, you know. As I say, working in the music business, I got fed up from working from home. The guy that I was assisting also felt the same, so we joined a local co-working space in Ibiza town, which, it was good for a while, but there were things that just weren't working, and eventually we moved a couple of times. One of those other spaces then closed down, and during that time you and I obviously met. I was back working from my home studio again, which wasn't very productive for me musically after spending a whole day working, using it as an office. So it was about how we could potentially create a space of our own which ticked all of the boxes. So that would be one of the major career highlights. I
remember, sorry to interrupt there, I remember we did this customer survey, right? We wrote out 20 questions, little check boxes that we thought, people would be really concerned about that, and 80% of people ticked 3 boxes, right? And it was good coffee, good internet, and
comfortable chairs. So they were the top 3 things on our list of priorities for getting the space right, and it's obviously grown into somewhat
something else, right?
Of a completely different monster, but it's something that I'm really proud of and grateful to have in my life.
For sure.
And then the second thing would obviously be the music highlight. I think really the biggest tick in the box, and probably the scariest day of my life, was playing for Cream at Amnesia in 2017, I think it was. And 5 minutes before I went on stage, I had my head between my knees on the dance floor thinking I was going to pass out or be sick. And then just as I pressed play on the CDJs, which were the most sparkly CDJs I've ever seen, the sound technician came running from the back of the dance floor all the way up to the DJ booth and was waving his hands furiously saying, no, you're playing on Fatboy Slim CDJs. And then I looked to the left and there was an older sort of version.
Flies on them
all sticky and old. And I didn't realise I wasn't supposed to be on the machine I was on, so I had to stop the track and start again. It was very nerve-wracking, but completely exhilarating at the same time. So, God, I remember the nerves now just talking about it.
Right, let's back in the room. That was a sick night. So the Hub, obviously, we've dragged it kicking and screaming into existence. So I guess the question of what inspirational memory do you have of the Hub is a little bit different one, because we've got quite a lot of 4 a.m. painting windowsills and all sorts of stories, haven't we? But recently, like obviously things have changed dramatically over the last few months, as the world. Can you think of like something that stands out where you're like, man, I can't believe that's going on here? Like,
I think it's just that it was a culmination of things. I felt like, I mean, I've said it to you a couple of times. I felt like, this whole lockdown situation sort of brought together a load of situations and people that otherwise might not have been available or maybe as ready or willing
For sure.
to be involved in the space.
Yeah.
Times were extremely difficult and we were having to pull together all of our resources and ideas. So obviously when the space opened back up and we had a fully functioning, in-house deli cafe, we had Cinema Paradiso,
Yeah.
outdoor movie nights. I think it just felt like somebody had poured a load of glue over the space.
For sure.
Metaphoric, obviously.
Yeah,
but, and everything just binded together so well and became the vision that we had for this space ever since we begun on this journey.
yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
I couldn't really say it was any one thing. It's just a feeling now. When you walk through the door, you're just like, this is really working.
Yeah, it's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
And finally, for people that are sat at home, whether that be the UK or Amsterdam or wherever people are, and they'd be thinking about moving to Ibiza for a while, and they're looking to pull the trigger, what advice would you give them, as to why they should do it?
I think there's, I could sit here and say, do your research and, make sure you've got this prepared and that saved and
I
all
wouldn't
of that
say any
stuff.
of that, by the way.
No, but, I think that's practical advice, but really it just burns down to being in a position where you're ready to take that leap of faith, and that's
Yeah.
something that everybody on this island,
Has done at
every
some point.
background, every character of all walks of life, it's a very special community of people we've got here. But that one thing that we've got in common is that we all at one point made that decision and took that leap of faith.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's just an instinct. And I think if you feel like you've got that calling, trust that instinct and trust that you're on a journey. And at the end of the day, the person that convinced me to move to Ibiza said, you'll never regret 6 months in Ibiza, but you will regret it for a lifetime if you don't give it a try. And here I am 7 years later. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And another one of the Hub Conversations.